Hello and welcome to the most demanding course in the software testing industry, that is mobile automation testing. Yes, through this course, you should be able to automate most of the hybrid, native, and web app of a mobile device, that is on Android and on iPhone, iPads, tablets, etc. So there are various tools available in the market for performing mobile automation testing, and most of them are paid. Some are open source tools as well, like if you might have heard about Robotium, Calabash, etc. But they are not fully customized for everyone to use. So, if I talk about the difference in all these tools, these are some of the available tools in the market, out of which you guys have heard about Robotium, Calabash. These are the old one, and if I talk about another three, that is Appium, Selendroid, and iOS. These are basically going to be the part of Selenium 3.0 APIs, right? So they are actually a wrapper over the WebDriver API. If you guys have ever worked on Selenium WebDriver, then you might be knowing about these tools that Selenium guys are actually coming up with. Right now, if we talk about Robotium, let's start with Robotium. So Robotium generally it supports Android only, right? Robotium was designed to support Android based automation, and in Robotium you need the application file, that is the APK file, whenever you install any application on your Android phone. So that is basically an APK file that you get. So you need that file at the time of testing, as well as you need the application code. So application code of the Android app you need when you are working on Robotium, and it supports Sauce Labs as well, right? So Sauce Labs, what is Sauce Lab? They basically provide you a cloud on which you can test your app on multiple devices, on multiple platforms, right? So these functionality, this is actually a paid functionality that Sauce provide. So Robotium basically supports Sauce as well, right? So the next one was Calabash. Calabash was one of the Ruby API, right? It supports the Ruby language only, and it supports your both iOS and APK. Again, you would be needing the code of iOS when you are testing using Calabash, and it supports the behavior-driven environment only. So these were like the most famous APIs that people were using, and now on top of over these APIs, Selenium guys are actually coming up with some new APIs, that is Appium Selendroid and iOS driver. Now, if I talk about Appium is already launched. It was launched on 2nd of May 2014, right? Selendroid is yet to be launched, and iOS driver, again, it is not yet launched in the market, but Apm is officially launched, and companies have already started working on it. Now, these are some of the APIs which can be used to automate any native, hybrid, and web app of an Android or an iOS real devices, right? So after making a great success with their WebDriver API, now they are heading towards mobile automation testing with these APIs. And many companies have already started demanding and looking for the profiles with great knowledge in these APIs. Since they are already there, people are actually using it, and they are automating their mobile applications a lot, right? So let's see uh, what application, what API should we use, which one to use. Either we should use Apm or we should use Selendroid. These are the most stable APIs from upcoming Selenium 3.0, right? Now, in the course, we'll be talking about both Appium as well as Selendroid. Selendroid is like if you go to the main website of Selendroid, then you'll find a term. Let's say if I navigate to Selendroid. Right. So you can see Selendroid is basically Selenium for Android. So it is a test automation for native, hybrid app and as well as the mobile web of an Android. It can test all these things. For testing iOS, there's specific this iOS driver is there, right? So iOS driver, it's still, you can see the current version is 0.6.6, right? So this is not officially launched and this is not very much in use at this moment, right? Mostly people who prefer working on iOS, they use something that is Appium, right? So Appium supports most of your Android and iOS both, and it supports your Mac and Linux and like even the Windows 7 plus operating system it supports, right? So if in case you want to get started with the mobile automation testing, then Appium is the best one to choose. And now Selendroid supports Android only, and Appium supports Android and iOS both. So some people prefer working on Selendroid, for Android, and some people prefer working on Appium. So in case you are working on Appium, then the very first thing, Appium will only gonna support your latest Android APIs. That let's say if I talk about couple of versions of mobile device, let's say if I talk about Samsung Galaxy Note, right? Most of the people use a Samsung Galaxy Note, and in Samsung Galaxy Note, the first version, the Note 1, it came up with the API level which is below 17, right? It came up with 13 or 14 API level. But if you are trying to automate any app on that device, then Appium will not gonna work, right? Because it supports the higher level API. If you are having a Note 2, then Note 2 comes with 17 plus API, right? It comes 19 is the API level which it starts from, right? So any API level above 17 of Android, Appium will gonna work, right? Appium will support that. And Selendroid, if you have an older device, an older API of an Android, then you can use Selendroid to automate that particular device, right? Apps on that device. So Selendroid supports JDK 6 and above, whereas Appium supports JDK 7. If you have JDK 6 on your machine, then Appium will not gonna work, right? And the major part, that if you have to test your iPhone, iPad, real devices or applications on simulators, then you need to work on Appium, because Selendroid will only gonna support Android, right? So Appium is you can say one-stop shop for Android and iOS based automation, right? But in the course, we're gonna talk about Appium and Selendroid both, and we'll see how to perform mobile automation testing on various apps, and we will be picking up lots and lots of real mobile applications and perform testing on the same. We'll be taking real devices as well, real Android device, and we will automate our test on a real device as well. And along with this course, I will be providing you the dumps of these applications, the application that we'll be using, and the project code as well. And once you go through all these tutorials, you can master the mobile automation testing using Appium and Selendroid, right? So at last, about myself, I am Raman, and I worked as a test manager with one of the CMM 5 level company in India, Gurgaon, right? And I have trained over 2,500 students across the globe in automation tools like Selenium, JMeter, SoapUI, Appium, etc. Right? You can visit me on my website, that is way2automation.com. You can also add me on Skype. My ID is Selenium Coaching, or you can mail me. You can also mail me on trainer@way2automation.com. All right. So I'll see you in the course. So some of the important things to know before we proceed with the course. So as we know that Apm is actually a wrapper over the WebDriver API. Basically, it's built on the JSON WebDriver via protocol, and it's really important that you should have basic understanding of how Selenium works, right? Because most of the commands that we're gonna use inside this course will be from WebDriver API itself, right? So, and you need not to worry. I mean, if you're not from Selenium background, you need not to worry about that. I have a free course over here on Udemy itself, where I have actually covered the WebDriver basics, right? You can join this course free of cost, and you can build your base on WebDriver first, right? But things are very simple in the initial. I have covered all the basic installation, which will help you install Appium and other required things on your platform on Mac as well as on Windows. I have covered example on both, right? And plus, if you're not familiar with Java concepts, then I have added some of the Java lectures from my these lectures I have taken from my Selenium course itself, right? So these are very descriptive lectures. Once you go through these lectures, your basic concept will be very clear, right? And I have also covered some of the Java frameworks that we will be using while designing mobile automation frameworks. So you can, if you're not aware of TestNG and JUnit, you can go through these sections and you will have a fair amount of understanding how these Java framework actually works, right? So I have covered most of the part on Apm API at this moment because Apm is officially launched in the market and Selendroid is yet to launch. So Appium can handle both your Android as well as your iOS based testing, right? Whereas Selendroid is only for Android, right? Selendroid says Selenium for Android, right? So if you want to get started on Android, you can directly start from Appium or from Selendroid. It's completely your choice, right? But in a sequence, I have given Appium first, right? And then I have covered Appium for native, hybrid, and web app on Windows as well as on Mac. And also I have shown examples from a real device as well as on emulators, how you can execute the test on real device as well as on emulators, right? And same thing I have done for iPhone, right? So in order to work on iPhone, a real device, you need to get an Apple developer ID, and I have explained you the steps. And these are actually the detailed steps which will help you in getting the developer ID from Apple, right? And developer ID, there is a cost to buy this developer ID, which is actually charged by Apple itself, and that is 99 USD. But to work on Android a real device, there is no as such ID required. You can directly connect your mobile device and you can directly perform testing on real devices, right? So this is like a really interesting course. I really am sure that you're gonna like the content over here and you're gonna get a great learning from this course. All right, so let's talk about Apm in these tutorial series. Basically, before we start with Apm, we should be knowing what exactly Apm is and what all it can do. Apm is based on open source technology itself. It's an open source test automation framework which is used for automating native, hybrid, and web app of a mobile phone. Apm is specially designed to automate iOS application, and it has good support for Android apps as well, right? So you can use real simulators, iPhone simulators, iPad simulators, or you can even use Android emulators, right? And you can test your native or hybrid app over there. Even you can connect your real mobile devices for iPhone and Android, and you can see the execution the automation of your app on those platforms as well, right? So we'll very quickly see what all Apm can do. I'm gonna show you some live examples, right? There are two ways you can download Apm. One, it can be downloaded from this button over here, and the other one can be downloaded the setup process they have provided over here, right? I'm going to talk about the detailed installation of Apm in the next module, right? Here you can see Apm is the requirement for Apm is you need to have for iOS that can only be done on a Mac with OS X especially installed. If you see over here, I am on a Mac right now with with OS X and the version 10.9.2, right? And Android can be tested on a Windows machine as well, but it has a beta support. Apm has a beta support for Windows. So especially if you are on a Mac, then you're not gonna face much issues. The automation will go very smoothly, right? So these are the two ways you can actually configure Apm. And now we're going to see how Apm exactly works. So I have created a step-by-step guide for installing Apm on OS X, right? And a couple of things that we need before we install Apm. So all these things are mentioned in this guide, which I'm going to talk in the next tutorial, right? So let's go back to Eclipse. This is the same Eclipse, the SDK that we have used when I have shown you a demo on Selendroid, right? So the same I'm going to use over here. So first I'm going to show you how we can test a hybrid app on an iPhone simulator. So what I'll do, I'll just execute this code through JUnit. I'll say run as JUnit, and I'll select JUnit launcher from here, and in a couple of seconds okay, it crashed. Let me see the reason why it crashed. Okay, before I execute this, I need to start Apm on my machine. So how I can start it, I can go to the terminal and just write Apm, and Apm is started on the port 4723. By default it starts on this port, but we can change the port as well. So we'll talk about that later on. I'll first execute the code. I'll say run as JUnit test, and in a couple of seconds you're gonna see an iPhone simulator will show up. It's over here, right? And the hybrid app will open up over here. See, it has entered email and comments. Now it swiped down and then up, and then it clicked on the send button that you can see over here, and this is the comment that's been printed. So it's basically you can see it's a hybrid, is a combination of web and a native app, right? So over here this is actually a web view, so you can see the HTML code that's been printed over here, which will actually going to help you in locating elements when you are especially working on a web view, right? So this is one of the hybrid tests. Now I'm going to show you another test that is a web app. Basically we are talking about a Safari browser over here. I'm going to show you how we can open up Safari browser in an iPhone emulator. So I'll again close this one and right click, run as Java application, and again in a couple of seconds the simulator will show up, and this time you're gonna see the Safari browser shows up, and it's going to Google. It will type hello Apm, and then it will gonna extract all the links from this page. You can see the last link, usegoogle.com. So if I navigate down, and over here the last link is usegoogle.com. So it has actually extracted all the links. So this is a web-based web app, you can say. So we have tested a web app on iPhone simulator. We're gonna see details on testing each and every app in these tutorial series, right? So it will give us a very handful experience, very good exposure to this API, how we can use like mobile automation testing using Apm on all these native hybrid and web apps on iPhone as well as on Android, right? So next example, I'm going to show it for Android. So over here, what I'll do when I run this code, it will actually gonna open up a standalone, a native app on, okay, I think the server was already running. Okay, now let me run it again. So when I execute this, I have an emulator. This is an Android emulator over here. So in a couple of seconds, you're gonna see, let me open up the terminal so that you can see the execution from here. So it's talking to this emulator and it is actually installing the app on this emulator. So in a couple of seconds, you can see this app over here, right? It's typing Selendroid, clicked on the Chrome icon, gone to the next page, click on this tab, selected the form page, and then inside this it should type something and click on hello there, and then it will go back to the home screen. So this is the entire test. You can see again this test is combination of native and hybrid, because web view is also available in this, as well as the native elements are also available in this, right? So this is how everything was done with the help of Apm itself, right? And now another thing I want to show in Apm, I've started the Apm from here. Right now I'm going to close the Apm. I'll close it now, and I'm gonna run the Apm from the UI tool itself. So this is one of the UI tool that's been provided by Apm, right? Now if I launch this application from here, and if I again run the code, so run as JUnit test. So this time I'm gonna show you something else. See, the logs are being coming from here. And as soon as the application shows up, okay, it's here. Now there is something with an icon I over here. This is basically an Apm Inspector. If you click on this, okay, right now, okay, I need to start it with some other way. So there are two ways of starting. There are different ways of starting these Apm Inspector for Android as well as for iOS. I've configured it for iOS. So what I'll go and do, I'll stop this, and I'll stop this, and I'm gonna make the changes as per okay, I need to start it for the Android one, then I'll launch it again. And I'll run the code again. So it failed because I didn't selected the Android option from here. So we have two options, either I can select iOS or I can select Android. Let's see, again it is giving me some error. Just give me a moment, let me fix it. It's actually configured for iOS. So what I need to do, I'll go to the preferences and check this, and then I'll launch it again. So what it will do, it will bring up my app over here this time. And now It is actually relaunching the app, right? And now if you open this inspector, this will not show up, and you're gonna get the view of your app over here. So if you select this, you're gonna see the property over here, all these properties. This is the XPath, this is the ID, right? And it has got a very good record and play feature as well. So once you click on record, you can see your script over here, right? So I'm going to talk about the record and play. We're going to do something with record and play as well. You can tap, you can swipe, you can enter some text. There are many things given with this record and play tool as well. This is in fact a very good tool I found with Apm Inspector, right? So I'm going to talk about this Apm Inspector as well. We have a whole big chapter on this Apm Inspector as well in upcoming tutorials. So this is what these things are really possible, and these things are really attractive when you work with Apm, right? So that's all we're gonna discuss about Apm in this small demo, and I'm gonna see you guys in the next tutorial session. All right. So next thing we're gonna see how we can install Java and configure environment variables, right? So this thing I have covered on Windows as well as on Mac OS, right? So installing Java is very simple. Java is completely open source, right? So you need to go to Google and type download Java, or you can say download JDK 7. Anything above 7 will gonna work on Apm, right? If you have Java 6 on your machine, then you need to upgrade to Java 7. Below Java 7, Apm will not gonna support, right? So you're gonna get a link like this. Go to this link, and over here you'll Java development kit. Now, based on the operating system, if you're on Linux, you need these files. If you're on Mac, you need this .dmg file. If you're on Windows 64-bit, you need this file. On 32-bit, you need this file, right? So installing Java is very simple. You're gonna get an installer. Just double click on it, and it will install Java on your machine. Now, once you install Java, by default, it will gonna generate some folder inside your program files. So you go to C drive, program files. So these are some of the folders that you're gonna see on your machine, right? JRE7 and JDK 1.7, right? I have JRE6 as well on my machine because I have Java 6 as well installed, right? So you need to make sure that you have Java 7 on your machine. Now, once this is installed, you need to go to this folder and copy this path. Next thing is to configure environment variables to support Java. So for that, you need to right click on your computer, go to properties, go to advanced system settings, go to environment variables, and create a new variable that says Java underscore home, and give the path of this folder over here. Click OK. So once you click OK, you're gonna see this file over here. Now inside there's another section called path. Inside the path variable, go to very end and put a semicolon and type %java underscore home %/bin. Basically, you are giving the path up till this bin directory. Now, once you do these things, it will actually going to configure your Java, and you need to make sure that you are very careful while doing these changes. If by mistake, if you hamper any previous configured things, then you might corrupt your existing running programs, right? So you need to be very careful. Just put a semicolon at the end and give this path. Now we need to go to the command prompt to make sure Java is successfully installed on our machine. Since I have Java 6 previously installed, so when I write Java-version, it will gonna show me the runtime environment as Java 6. So in your machine, if you install Java 7, you're gonna see Java version 1.7 installed on your machine. If you get this message, it means Java is successfully configured on your machine. So next we're gonna see how we can download Maven. Maven I have covered both for Windows as well as for Mac. So Maven is one of the build tool that we use to get dependencies of the API that we are using. So Maven, it's not only for Appium. If you're working on any of the API like Selenium, Appium, Selendroid, or any other like project which deals with jar files, then there are many ways to add a jar file on a project. Either you can directly import it from your local machine, or you can connect to the Maven repository, where all the open source projects generally they check in their jar files onto the Maven centralized repository. And if you're talking about Appium as well, like once you go to this download link of Appium, you'll it will take you to this. Appium has library for all these things. So if you go to Java, since we're dealing with Appium using Java, so you can see it has taken us to the Maven centralized repository, right? And if we are dealing with Appium, we can directly download the jar file from here by clicking on this jar, or we can click on this POM link, and it will show us some XML tags over here. These are basically dependencies. It contains dependencies of Selenium, of JUnit, of other APIs as well that we're going to talk about, right? So like I will be actually taking up the Maven lecture from one of my Selenium Architect course. In that, basically, I have actually explained how we can install Apm on our we can install Maven on our machine, and how we can download these dependencies using the XML file, that is pom.xml. So I have covered installation of both Maven on Windows as well as on Mac. So next you're gonna see how we can configure it on Windows, and how we can download the basic dependencies, and then we'll also gonna see how we can download dependencies of Appium from Maven centralized repository. All right. So in order to do that, we'll go to Google, and first we need to write download Maven. So I'll write download Maven, and we'll go to this link, and this is the binary maven 3.0.0 binary zip. This is the zip file that we need to download. So I've already downloaded this file. I have kept it inside C drive softwares, and this is how it will come in a zip file. You need to extract this zip file, and this is the folder. This is Apache Maven 3.0.4. Now configuring Maven is similar to the configuration of let's say how we have configured Ant. So we need to set up the environment variables for Maven as well. So how will we do that? We'll right click on my computer, we'll go to properties, then click on advanced system settings, and then I'll click on environment variables. In the system variables, I create a new variable and give it a name as, let's say, mvn underscore home, and in this I'll give the path of my Apache Maven folder like this, and then I'll click on OK. So I've already created this. This is my mvn underscore home. Then I'll go to the path variable, and at the very last I'll put a semicolon, and I'll write percentage mvn underscore home percentage slash bin, and then I'll click OK. So you need to be very careful while setting this environment variables, because if you make any mistake, then it might hamper your existing running programs. Now that's all you need to do. You will click on OK, and then again click on OK, then apply. And now to check whether the Maven is configured or not, you will go to command prompt, and in the command prompt, I'll again type cmd command prompt, and in the command prompt I'll write mvn hyphen hyphen version, and as soon as I press enter, it will show me some message. So if you get some message like this from Apache Maven 3.0.4, it means that your Maven is successfully configured. Now I'll go to my C drive and I'll create some folder over there. Let's say mkdir Maven. I'll give it a name Maven, and then I'll go inside this folder, and now here I'll give the Maven command, that is mvn archetype generate. So as soon as I hit enter, it will start scanning for the existing projects that are there inside Maven. So right now it has thrown some error. Let me take a look what errors are there. Okay, I did a spelling mistake. I think I have written I missed typing R over here. Now as soon as I press enter, it is starting scanning for the projects, and it will take a few seconds to download all the project details. So you can see every project has some unique number assigned to it, and it's asking us to choose a number. So by default it's saying 246. I'll choose this number and I'll press enter. Then it's asking me the version number, so I'll again press enter. Then it is asking that define value for property group ID. Now what are these group IDs and what are these values that I'll gonna enter over here? These will be clear, very much clear to you in some times, but for right now just take it as it is. So I'll give the group ID as, let's say, com.tests, and I press enter. Then artifact ID, I'll give the artifact ID as Maven Project, and I'll press enter. So this is the artifact ID that we're gonna submit to the Maven, and the version, let it remain as it is, the package, let it remain as it is, and yes, generated. So as soon as I press enter, you will see the message that build success. So it has successfully generated it. Now I'll go to this directory and I'll take a look what is created over here. I'll go to C drive, Maven. This is the folder that I have created, and inside this folder my Maven project has been created, and it has two files. One is the source file and the other one is the pom.xml file. Now you can see in the pom.xml file you can see the group ID, artifact ID, version, and the packaging. So group ID is the one that we provided, com.test, and artifact ID is your project ID that we have given in Maven, and this is the version that we have selected, and packaging is jar. So this packaging will help to generate our jar file. Let's suppose if we want to submit our current project to Maven, then it will provide us the jar file. And below here if you see the dependencies, so by default it has given us the dependencies of JUnit. So JUnit, this is the project ID, the artifact ID of JUnit is JUnit, and this is the version 3.8.1, the JUnit version that we got. But we won't be using this version because this version does not support annotation. So the version that we gonna use will be 4. something. So before going into it, we'll take a look at the project folder, the Maven folder that we have created. It's C drive, Maven, and this is my project. So it has got one source folder and two subfolders inside the source folder. One is the main folder and the second one is the test folder. So this main folder, you do not need to do anything inside the main folder. Basically main folder will contain the code, the Java code that is mainly used by developers. So if you are going to create a test code, then it will be inside this test folder itself. So by default you can see there is a test code already mentioned over here. So what we need to do, we need to import this Maven project inside Eclipse. So to import this project inside Eclipse, we need to first make it capable of Eclipse, and for that we will go to command prompt and we'll access this project by going to cd maven and then cd the project name, and over here we'll type the command that is maven eclipse and press enter. So as soon as we do it, it will gonna generate the supporting files for Eclipse, that is the class path file and the project file, the dot project file. So let's see, it's running and it's completed now, and you can see the build is successful. So now if we take a look at our folder, the Maven project folder, we'll see that the dot class path and the dot project file has been generated. So now this project is good to be imported inside Eclipse. Now what we'll do, we'll go to Eclipse. Eclipse is opening and we'll create, let's say we create a new workspace for this. So I'll give it a name as workspace slash maven C drive workspace maven, and I click on OK. I'll close this and I'll right click over here and then click on import and then click on import and existing project into workspace. I'll find the Maven project. This is the Maven project. I'll click on this, click on OK and click on finish. So now you can see the project has been imported and there are two folders that's been created. One is your test folder, the other one is the main folder. So this test folder is the one in which you will be working. So by default there is a file, a class file that is already been implemented. I mean, this is a demo file, so you do not need to take a look at this file. We'll be removing this one, and then this is the main folder in which developers work, so you do not need to touch this. And if we take a look at the pom.xml file, so in this file the JUnit version is currently 3.8.1, but what we want to use the latest version of the JUnit, which starts with 4 dot something. So how we come to know that what is the latest version of JUnit that's been submitted to Maven? So how we find that, we'll go to the website that is Maven repository, mvnrepository.com, and over here we'll type JUnit and press enter. So this is the JUnit. We'll click over here and this is the latest version, that is 4.11. We'll click over here and this is the dependency that we got. So we'll copy this dependency and we'll replace this dependency from here. Or what we can do, instead of replacing it, we just copy the version ID and let's paste it here. That's it. So that's all we need to do, and now we need to compile this project so that the latest jar file will get downloaded to our workspace. So we do not know that how it gonna be downloaded from Maven, what's all process that gonna happen in the backend. We should not be worried about that. So we just need to make sure that the latest jar file, that the dependency and the version that we have given inside the pom.xml file is correct. That's it. So now when I again go to command prompt and I write mvn compile and press enter, So this is, see, it's downloading something. So it will gonna take few seconds. It has downloaded and the build is success. So now we'll take a look where the jar files have been downloaded. It will be downloaded under C drive users, and then I'll go to my profile Selenium. So in the .m2 folder, it has created a folder repository, and we'll take a look at JUnit, then JUnit, the latest one, 4.11. So if we take a look at 4.1, so this is the latest jar file of JUnit that got downloaded. Now we'll go back to Eclipse. And we need to resolve this error. This error is coming because we don't have that the jar file that we have downloaded through Maven is not yet associated to our current project. So this jar file. So how to associate it? We need to right click on our project. We'll go to the build path, click on configure build path, go to libraries, and then we need to add variable, and then click on configure variable and create a new variable with the name should be m2 underscore repo. So you need to click on add lab, just a second, add variable, configure, and then you need to click on new variable and give the name as m2 underscore repo, and over here just give the path of that repository, that jar file where it got downloaded. Just give this path and click on OK, and then again click on OK, and click on yes, then click on OK, and then click on OK. And now you can see this is added to your project. The jar file is added to your project. Now you click over here and you click on clean. Okay, I think I'm making some mistake over here. So if I go to add, okay, just a second, this one, configure variable, edit, and okay, I got it. So basically what I am doing over here, so if I take a look at this path, I'm giving the entire path, so I do not need to give this path. I just need to give the path of this repository. So I'll copy this and I'll paste it here, and I'll click on OK, and then I'll click on OK, and then I'll rebuild it. So as soon as I rebuild it, you'll see all the errors are gone, and these jars are imported into my project from this m2 underscore repo, the repository that we have created, the variable that we have added. Now we gonna add a plugin to Maven plugin to Eclipse. This is again an important thing, and it makes your life basically very easy. Since you would not be using a command prompt again and again to compile your code and to bring up the jars from the Maven centralized repository, Maven basically provide a plugin to Eclipse, your IDE. So what you need to do, it's very simple and easy to download it. You need to basically go to a website that is wiki.eclipse.org, and this is basically the page that you need to access. So if you go downwards to this page, you'll find various releases available over here, and based on your Eclipse, if you're using a latest Eclipse, then you can copy this link and copy it from here and go back to your Eclipse and click on help and then click on install new software, and it will bring up a window, and over here just press enter and just paste this and press enter. You're gonna get Maven integration for Eclipse. Just select this, click on next, and it will gonna take a couple of seconds and it will gonna show you these two components basically, and you need to check both of them, and then you need to click on next. Since I've already installed this plugin on my Eclipse, so it will not allow me to again reinstall it, but I can make an update. But right now I don't need any update over here. So once you click on next, it will gonna take at least a few minutes, and you need to be a bit patient till the time it is installed. Once it is successfully installed, you right click on your package explorer and click on new project, and if you go downwards you're gonna see an option of Maven over here. From here you can directly select the Maven project, click on next, or you can click on create a simple project, click on next, and here you can give all the group IDs, artifact IDs and all these things, and it will help you to create a Maven project and bring in the Maven dependencies within Eclipse itself. So there is no need to use command prompt now. You can directly do all the operations that you were performing in command prompt. You can directly do it using this plugin itself. And I'll be showing you more examples of how we can actually import Apm dependencies using the Maven plugin itself, Maven Eclipse plugin itself. All right. So let's see how we can download and configure Java on Mac OS X, and how we can configure the environment variables. So I'll go to Google and write download JDK, and I'll download 1.7 itself, the Java Development Kit 7. So from here, since we are doing it for Mac, I'll accept the license, and this is the downloadable file that you need to download, right? Now once you download it, it will, once I click on this, it will start the download. Now again, installing Java is very simple. I already have this file on my machine, so I'll cancel the download. It's over here. I already have Java. This is the JDK, right? Now once you double click on it, you can easily install it. Just double click on this icon and it will get installed. Now installing Java is very simple as you're installing any other software, right? Now once it is installed, you need to configure some environment variables. Basically, you'll go to your terminal and you'll write open.bash profile. It will open up an editor, and in the editor you're gonna write this. That is export Java _ home. You need to create a variable Java _ home equal to, and you need to give the path of your Java home. So this is the location where your Java is being installed. So if you go to this location, from the finder, I'll go to the folder. If I go to this location, you will find the bin directory over here. So this is where my Java is actually installed inside this location, right? So this is the same location you should be giving over here, and then you need to save this file. So once you save this file, again go back to the terminal. You can write echo $Java _ home. It will gonna show you the path of your JDK, right? And then you'll write Java -version. It will gonna show you the current version of Java on your machine. Like I have Java 1.7. So you can see this is very simple. Installing Java on Mac is very simple. This is how we install Java on Mac. So many of my students came back to me today and saying that their facing some issues in the latest Appium code that they are executing. Basically, what Appium guys have done, they have actually recently launched one of the latest API of Appium, that is 2.0, right? So if you go to the Java document, this is the Java client 2.0 that is being launched, and with the launch of this API, if you take a look at the Apm driver class, so this class is now an abstract class, right? So they have made this class an abstract class, and they have actually implemented two new classes over here. One is for Android, that is Android driver, right? So this is one of the class that they have implemented, which is actually extending the Appium driver class itself, right? And the other one for iOS, they have created another class that is iOS driver. So this is for when you're testing on iPhone, and this one is also extending Appium driver. Now, what you need to do, what people are facing issue is that let's say I remove the old API. I'll go to build path and remove it from the build path, right? And I import the latest API. So I again go over here and I download the latest API from this section. Okay, this is from here, right? So this is 2.0. I've already downloaded it, right? And let me import this API in Eclipse. So as soon as I import this jar file in Eclipse, I'll go over here, and this is 2.0. So as soon as I import it, and if I take a look over here, I got this error: cannot instantiate the type Appium driver, right? This is because this class is abstract class now. Now, in case you're working on Android, you need to change this to Android driver. So I'll say Android driver, and take your mouse over onto this, and you're gonna see the Android driver from Appium. Just import it and go over here and change this one to Android driver as well, right? So this is the only change that you need to make in order to work on the Appium recent API, right? And rest everything will gonna remain the same. So if I execute this code now, this will work absolutely fine. If I run it, you're gonna see on the logs over here, it has started executing and everything is working fine, right? So I don't have a webcam connected right now, but on the logs you can see that it is performing all the action that I have given over here. So this is how, in case you want to work on the latest API, you can see these are the text that I'm parsing from here, and everything is executing absolutely fine, right? So this is what you need to do. Once you download the latest APIs, you need to make sure if the things are not working, then try to search out for some documentation. Over here you can see I got one documentation that that says that version 2.0.0 was released on September 30th, and they have converted this class to abstract now, and you can use iOS and Android driver, which both extend this, right? And even there are some more changes. You no longer need to include the platform name, so it will be automatically picked up for each classes, right? So you can go through this documentation, and this is really important. This will help you to be updated on what is happening around Appium. All right.